It's my first time using this computer for this, so
Sure. Well, thanks for talking to me for about an hour or so today. I don't know what your time limit is.
uh I don't really have one. I just
Okay,
whatever, yeah.
sure. All right. So this is the EricSwahnRacing.com podcast. We got Ashton Yates in the house. And I think this is the EricSwahnRacing.com podcast 135 or 6. I forget. I'm losing track. But getting up there in the numbers. So thanks for talking to me. And sorry about the delay earlier. I got called into work. I never know when that happens, but
Yeah, no
uh,
worries.
it was a good day. So what's going on with you? How are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Just nothing too crazy. It's the end of the season and we're kind of just trying to get things set up for next year and taking a chill pill and taking it all in from this year. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so,
about it.
so tell me about your season. How did your season go for everybody who doesn't know? And what interesting things happened this year?
Yeah, no, it was a good season riding for the Shibe team again. This year is my second year with them, and yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty similar season to last year. We finished 10th in the points last year, ninth this year, and best finish is sixth at Coda. And honestly, with like a few rounds to go, it seemed like we made some pretty good progress with the like a step with the bike that helped me out a lot, and kind of ran out of time here at the end of the year to really I kind of ran out of races, I guess, to show what we could do. But had some good results there in the end, like a sixth Dakota and stuff. So stoked on that, and working with the Shibe team's awesome. It's an awesome group of dudes, and yeah, not sure about next year yet, but we'll see. It'd be awesome to work with them again, but trying to get things all squared away. Don't know for sure what's going to happen. So
Sure. And you're in the Superbike Cup, so tell everybody what is it like racing in the top series in the top class in the country for motorcycles?
yeah, man, it's fun for sure. And last year's my rookie season, and to go out on track with like Petrucci and all those guys, I thought it was. I mean, it was kind of like a dream come true. And I watched Petrucci growing up in GP, and it's awesome. And I watched Gagne and Bobier and all these guys, and to get out on track and ride with them and kind of take it in and learn like every session from these guys is pretty awesome. And it's been great, and there's so much talent in the field this year, and I feel I'm pretty privileged to be a part of that. So it's been a it's been a good time this year.
Yeah, I
And
mean
what
it's a
about
pretty
yours?
stacked field. You got like MotoGP riders, you got what is it, X like Moto 2, you got is it World Superbike in there? People from all around the country or not the country, all around the world. You got South Africans, you got, all these different people from different countries, Brazilians, Danilo Lewis, right?
Like,
Um, and so it's pretty cool. It's a very mixed group of people, but you still got what is it like 33 people scoring at least a point in the Superbike class this year?
yeah, it turned out there's a lot of guys that got well, I mean a lot of riders this year, but there was also I mean a crazy amount of great riders, and but most of them a few I mean there's a handful of those guys that actually didn't get to finish their season and stuff, and so there's more guys that were that filled those spots and stuff, and it was pretty interesting year, but yeah, it's pretty wild.
So next year looks like VIR still isn't on the schedule. Does that matter to you?
uh I mean I like VIR pretty good, but it's I don't know, it's not a big deal. I mean Pittsburgh I liked a lot, and they have that off the schedule, but they're replacing it with Mid Ohio, which will be interesting. And
I hadn't heard that. Yeah.
yeah, I never rode there, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and my dad liked that place pretty good. He was a big fan of that place, so I think that'll be interesting. But I think they're still working on VIR in the future to have it back on the schedule, but it's just kind of tough, yeah, finding a date for it in these past couple of years. So, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too bummed about it, but
Yeah, so I mean, I raced Mid Ohio back in probably 2020, I want to say 2012, 13, 14-ish. It's a great track. I love the layout, but at the time, I was racing with Wera, and man, if it rains there, it's just unsafe. So did they do a repave to the track?
Yeah, so that's what I heard. They repaved, or they are going to do a repave, and there wasn't a for sure date on, or they didn't know exactly when I asked the Moto America guys, but it'll be before we go there, so is all they know. But yeah, they fixed some of the barriers, I think, too, or just some of the stuff that was close to the track. I mean, I've never been there. I'm not real sure how it was and how it is now, but it's overall supposed to be safer, is what I heard. So
Well, good. Yeah, they have a couple of gravel traps there that you don't want to find yourself in. But they have a decent amount of runoff. I never felt like it was a super dangerous track. I mean, they can always be better.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's quite a bit of elevation, not something crazy like Barber. It's less than that, or less than Road Atlanta. But it's still a decent amount of elevation. You got some S's, ups and downs, and the whoops in the back. You got the Canada Beach or China Beach in the back after the long straight at that chicane. It's not even a corner. It's like a kink, going down the back straight. That's a lot of fun. Um, I'm happy for it to be back in the schedule. It seems like Mid Ohio's been struggling. I've worked as a racing marshal, and they don't pay their marshals, which
uh,
is a unique situation because they're always looking for people. They're always short, but they don't pay you. You're going to
yeah,
be short people.
yeah. That's interesting. Wow.
Some tracks are different. Some tracks just choose not to,
Okay.
because they always get volunteers, but then you're just short staffed.
Yeah.
But so, what's on your mind today? What do you want to talk about here?
Oh man, I'm an open book, whatever, man. Anything. I'm just just I'm about to go into this off season, keep doing supermoto training and stuff, and building a mountain bike at the moment, and yeah, so I'll still be riding motorcycles a lot this winter and some flat track stuff, and still be on two wheels and all. That's what I've been doing lately, working on stuff.
So, for a supermoto, are you doing supermoto racing or track days or just open laps at a private track, or what are you doing?
So I mean, I don't really do a whole lot of racing anymore, unless something comes up. If there's a race, or sometimes I'll do the South Florida Mini GP series. Their races, they got a pretty good turnout there. I mean, at the end of the year, after all the superbike stuff, so I'm not really um, out there, risking getting hurt and all that. But yeah, I mean, I might do one or two. Just depends. Maybe if like link up with Brand Posh or some of those other guys, we want to do a little race or join the race or something, we might do that. But mainly just like track day stuff, and hitting up different tracks, kart tracks and stuff that I haven't been to, and we'll shoot some videos or something because we
Nice.
can enjoy doing all that stuff with the Fast Glass media guy Dustin. But yeah, mainly just riding unless opportunity comes up. But I'll do the Winter Throwdown dirt track race again this year, which is event run by Corey Texter, Callahan Speedway in Florida. But yeah, just whatever comes up. Honestly, opportunities come up to ride, and we'll see. I might go out there and ride something. So
Are you on a 450, 250, 300? What are you riding?
they're 450s, yeah. Super Meta. I got a RMZ 450.
All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I've been on pretty much everything I'm sure you have, like the 50, the 100, the 150, the 250, the 300, the 450. It's like when you get to the 450s, those are serious wheelie machines. Like you touch that throttle, the front's coming up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of started out that on the asphalt doing the mini motos, supermoto stuff. So on an XR 100, so I have the 100 and the 150R. I started supermoto on that and doing the dirt also, like actual like dirt sections and stuff. So yeah, I've been familiar with the supermoto stuff for a while. It's kind of how I learned how to ride on the asphalt. But yeah, I still got all my bikes too. That's a lot of fun.
So you got a fleet of bikes, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, I've got, I don't even know how many bikes I got. I mean, over the years, my family and we've all, accumulated bikes and we don't sell them.
That's the perfect number of bikes to have, is that I don't even know how many.
So now we love bikes and, whenever one breaks, we'll just pull the other one out.
For sure. You got to have a backup, and the backup's got to have a backup.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not running out anytime soon or stopping riding. So we'll be at it for a while.
Yeah. And you got to mention your background, your family's history. With your dad Aaron and his dad Lucky. Got a huge lineage of generational motorcycle racers, and that's pretty impressive to see. That's pretty rare in the motorsports industry to have three generations of professionals, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, to have three, I know a lot of, I guess, guys with our kids I raced with their dads that kind of got them into it. But yeah, I don't know anyone with maybe the Ulriches might be like the three generation thing there. But yeah, there's not a lot though, for sure. And it's been awesome. Still have my dad and granddad kind of come to my dad's my crew chief actually, and my granddad still comes also to the races and was pretty, hands on if we need help with anything. And yeah, it's been awesome. I enjoyed it a lot and kind of cherish it. And it's they've been a big part of the team and they have been a big part of my career from the beginning. So and big part of my life. I pretty much grew up going to AMA Superbike races, from the beginning. And
Yeah,
so yeah, it's been a big part of my life. So
for sure. And I've always ran the number 20 as well, so it's kind of an homage to that. Um,
cool.
it wasn't directly because of your dad, but I was 20 years old when I got my race license, so I'm like, well, I'll just pick number 20, and it happened to be available. It was the first number I picked, so I was like, sweet, I'll go with that one. I'll stick with it. So
Cool. Good
it's
pick.
a solid number, right?
Oh yeah, good pick.
And now you're on 22. What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, I actually was wanting to be number 20 as well, but then I was number 120 in the KTMRC Cup that I did with Moto America, and then when I was allowed to pick a two-digit number like in Super Sport, and I when I was kind of talking to my dad about it, and I think I ran 22 in a dirt track race or something just because it was available. And I kind of stuck with it after that. And then someone was joking around and was like, well, you're still 22, like 20 also, or whatever. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. And then I was like, it's a cool looking number and it looks good on the bike. And it's my own number. My dad's got his number or whatever. So, but no, that's kind of how that came along and stuck with 22 ever since I started it. So,
I wanted to ask, this is something I actually don't know the answer to. Do you have to have earned something special to have a single digit number? Obviously, other than one. Do you have to have a certain status for those single digit numbers?
uh, not that I know of in the road racing, and I know in the dirt track, you do have to have a national championship, as I think. And as far as road racing, I don't think so. But I mean, the only guys that run them is, I mean, because Petrucci ran his number 9 last year, and he didn't have a national championship. So,
He's
but
also got other credentials, though.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, it's just Josh, Aaron, and Hayes that kind of run in like 2 and 4. So
Oh, also Cam, right? You got Cam now too, or
yeah,
he's coming
yeah,
back.
yeah, that's right. He runs 6 too. So yeah, I don't think so. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, I've always had my number. I don't care for any single digit numbers unless it's a number 1. So
Yeah, I feel like when you get like a number 2, like you're so close to that number 1. Uh,
yeah, I've been
so
number 2 before, actually. Now thinking about it, but yeah,
it looks clean that way, I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if I had to pick uh, a number, Number 9 or 8, 8 or 9 probably. Yeah.
What do you think about series retiring riders' numbers? It's kind of cool, like with Nikki Hayden, but now nobody else can run it. What do you think about that?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, MotoGP, I guess, and Nikki's deal. I mean, that he's a legend, and they retired his number. I mean, I don't know. The only other reason I could see that being kind of a bummer is just because, or if someone another American came up and wanted to run it or something, and then and for him, or I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Um, I mean, yeah, it does sound kind of strange. I guess in the future, if someone wanted to run that number, they wouldn't be able to. So, um, yeah, I don't know really what to say. I'm kind of back and forth on that. I get it, but then I'm not. I don't get it, I guess.
I mean, in 100 years, there's been no numbers left, right? You gotta, you can't
Yeah,
do a secret number.
yeah. I mean, I guess in Nikki's case, him passing was, as kind of a tragedy, and just how all that happened, and it made sense, And did they retire Rossi's number? I don't think they did. Did they?
I don't think so. I don't remember any announcements about it a couple years ago, but
I don't think they did. So I mean, I don't know. It might have just been a special thing for Nikki or something.
yeah.
But
Now, for this season, did anybody really jump out and surprise you in any of the classes? Like, who do you have your eye on? Like, watch out for this guy or girl.
uh, yeah, I mean, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the other classes, but yeah, I mean, in my class, I ran Superbike. I mean, when Brandon stepped in and placed for Tony, I mean, he got on the Suzuki and was doing, I think he had a few top fives there, and it was only the second half of the season when he hopped on. And, but I mean, I kind of expected that from Brandon because, I mean, I know Brandon's a great rider, and you put a great rider on a great bike and they'll do great things. So, and he's, not far off the front. But I mean, there's some weekends where I was right there with him, and we're not far off either. So
Yeah,
um,
it's cool to see Brandon on a team like Team Hammer. I mean, that's one of the best, you know, best teams in the paddock, year after year after 40 year.
yeah.
And to look at the list of riders who have been with Team Hammer, it's like wow, it's pretty impressive.
No, it's definitely a great team for sure, and they've been around a while, got a lot of experience, and great bikes, and I guess considered factory team for Suzuki now. Some people say so. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for him. And then the other classes, well, just Gus Rodeo. He's one of my buddies too. Did a lot of supermoto riding with him. I mean, I kind of know everybody pretty well, and a lot of the riders, so I root for everybody. And Avery Dreyer that locked up the Junior Cup Championship races, or did the South Florida Mini GP series, and I've rode Supermoto with him a good bit. And yeah, so a lot of guys. There's so many more, but yeah, I mean, just everyone that I've kind of spent a lot of time riding with, they've seems like everybody's progressing, growing up, and taking another step. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Brandon Posh is the man winning, double Rolexes at the Daytona back to back. That's aside from Danny Eslick, it doesn't happen very often, right? And having Brandon Posh come in halfway through the season or whatever exactly it was, finishing 14th in the standings is pretty darn good.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's yeah, like I said, I kind of, was expecting him to kind of get up to pace quickly and stuff, and I didn't have a doubt he'd struggle really. I mean, it's an easy Superbike is kind of, you get on it and it's not as hard as you think. At least for me, it wasn't. With the electronics and all that. And when you got it all dialed in on a factory bike, it can't be too bad. I feel like
Yeah.
so.
Now, do you wish that Daytona would be a points paying round as well? That's kind of like a one-off, different type of race. Do you think that should be awarded points for the series or for the championship that is?
Um, or like for I guess so. Super Sport's the only class that run, or Super Sport and Twins run there, but we don't run there. Superbike doesn't. But yeah, man, it was. I thought it was the points paying round for Super Sport and Twins, wasn't it?
I believe the Daytona 200 is not. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's considered 1 through 9 after that round. I don't think that round counts because the first one I see in the standings is in April and the Daytona's in March,
Okay.
right? I think
Yeah,
so.
well, maybe that. Well, I think Twin. Yeah, maybe Super Sport didn't. Maybe it was just Twins or something because I thought Jackson Blackman, another close buddy of mine, he finished fourth that weekend or something and stuff. So I know that was added for sure to their championship. But
Yeah, the
yeah,
Twins is definitely the Twins March 9th of this year. Yeah. March 9th. They got 2 races at Daytona 200. But it counts for two. How does that work? I'm looking at the standings right now.
okay.
Um, so they must have done two different races because they have two different points paying positions.
Yeah, they did too. One on Saturday, one on Sunday. I think like Baggers was there also.
I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, I've never done the 200 just because I don't really know a whole lot about it. Honestly, I was there this year, watched it, and I've watched it previous years and stuff. But you know, kind of it's a big deal. Want to have a good bike, good team. If you do it, and I want to do it. If I do it, I want to have all those things and be able to do pretty well. So uh, just hasn't come up yet, though. I think one day we'll make it happen. I definitely got it on the bucket list. So
Yeah. I mean, you just got to come there with a couple engines and a big crew and hope you don't blow one up, right?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I guess seems like I've never even
Um,
read there, so I'm sure you're wide open for a while. Yeah, on that.
have you walked the track or been on the banking at all?
No, not at all. No.
It's it's dramatic. It's you can hang onto the barrier at the top and your feet don't touch the ground.
Wow.
It's like 34 degree 34, 35. That might be wrong, but it's like something around there. It's like wild amount of banking. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
Yeah.
I've never rode there, but I've walked it. I've worked there a bunch of times as a track marshal with Moto America, with what was it? Arma and CCS.
Okay.
So it's a cool place to be. They got the lake in the middle. I wouldn't swim in it, but you could maybe
Yeah.
fish in it if you wanted to. But such an iconic place from sports cars to bikes and everything in between.
Yeah, I've been there for Supercross before and stuff, but and the 200 obviously, but
It'd be
never.
cool to watch the Rolex Daytona 24 there.
Yeah, yeah, that I've seen. I've watched it on TV actually and stuff, but yeah, I haven't been there for that one. That looks pretty awesome too. They do the
Yeah.
whole field section and all that. I'm pretty sure also.
Yep.
Yeah,
And now you're in like Georgia now, right?
yeah,
How you liking it out there?
yeah. It's all right. It's hot this summer, like 100 degrees, and every day almost, or most of the time. And I live on a lake, Lake Sinclair in Milledgeville, and yeah, it was a fun time. Uh, Playing the lake this summer and get good training in, and now it's starting to cool down and fall's coming around, and it's real nice out right now. But yeah, this is kind of where I've been always. Spent a lot of time at like the Herring compound and stuff that's not far from me. and it's like an hour south. Did a lot of training there and stuff. So yeah, I got actually got Florida kart tracks down there too and stuff. So um, good time of year right now to do riding, and this winter it doesn't get too cold and stuff. So it's what's nice about Georgia and Florida in the winter time. It kind of stays a little warm. So
Yeah, definitely. So I saw you post a picture doing some wakeboarding out there on the lake.
yeah, I don't do a whole lot of wakeboarding, but yeah, like I was playing around with some wake surfing stuff recently and did some of that. My buddies got a boat. We'll go out on it every once in a while. But yeah, my dad, it's kind of he's been injured or I mean, got injured wakeboarding before during the superbike season and stuff. So I kind of stayed off of that thing, and I don't have a lot of experience doing it. I've always rode. I got some stand-up jet skis and stuff, and raced those before, and I just love ripping the skis. So when I get in the water, but I just started doing some like wake surfing stuff and liking that pretty good. Now we just need to get a boat that's got enough weight in the back, kind of, so we don't have to use the rope and all, and just so we can just ride the wake and like an actual like you're actually surfing and stuff. So that'll be the thing to do next summer. So,
Yeah, you're
but
just creating your own wave. So what kind of injuries can you get wakeboarding? I mean, I've had concussion from wakeboarding pretty bad, but nothing other than that.
um, your knees. Actually, what my dad did was he messed up his. Well, he didn't. It wasn't like a big injury, but he tweaked his knee or something and was bothering him. And yeah, and I just don't even mess around doing stuff like I'm not comfortable with or used
Yeah.
to doing during the season. And I got a lot of people behind me and helping me get to the track and making it happen. So I don't want to have anything kind of conflict with what I'm doing and racing and all that stuff. But yeah, and I know some a guy he broke some ribs or something,
Hmm.
but he's trying to do some like 360s and backflips and stuff. So yeah, that'll happen. I feel like if you
For
do that.
sure. And now you mentioned the heron compound. Isn't heron in California now?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
But somebody else is running the compound?
yeah. So yeah, Josh moved there back to California like 18, 19 or something like that. And now it's his mom and sister that run it.
Okay.
Um, I actually lived there for a few years.
Hmm.
I dated his sister for a little bit, and then, but yeah, it's still his mom and sister that run it, and they still have races. South Florida Mini GP comes up there and does races, and yeah, they're still pretty active and stuff.
So I personally would recommend Supermoto or Motard to anybody because the smiles to dollar ratio are just off the chart. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. That's, I mean, my favorite type of training. It always has been, and I've done a lot of coaching too. And it's just, yeah, I mean, just back in the supermoto bike in and it's lighting up the tire and stuff. I mean, it's on a kart track. It's the closest thing to a super bike to me. And yeah, riding one of those things hard for like 20 laps on the kart track is it's a lot of work. So
It's
and
tiring. People don't realize how much physical, strength you need to do to have that, or endurance, or cardio.
yeah, it's good training for sure. A lot of fun as well.
So if somebody wanted to go to the Heron compound, what do they need? What does it cost to do that?
Um, I'm pretty sure it's the same. Um, I haven't been in a bit, but it should be like like just a track day fee, like $60 or something around there. It's like 50, 60 for the day, and that's it. I mean, usually probably just contact them through their Instagram and just let them know if you want to ride during the week. I think contacting them might be the best thing. But on the weekends, they usually do track days almost every weekend, I think. So
Okay, nice.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
pretty.
been on my list. It's something I wanted to go to, but I just moved out to Las Vegas, so I'm kind of on the other side of the country now.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, you should check it out for sure someday. It's cool layout. The track is, getting old now, and there's a few bumps and stuff, but I still enjoy it. It's a good layout on the Supermoto. I still do pretty decent times on it. So just gotta set up suspension a little softer.
Sure. That's sweet. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And so yeah, I just moved out to Vegas. I became a sports car exotics racing coach. So working with I don't even know how many brands now, like over 10 brands from, see if I can name them: Acura, Audi, Aston Martin. We got Corvette, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Nissan. There's the let's say Aston. There's and also there's other cars within the brand. So like the Ferrari F430, we're doing the Ferrari 488s, the Porsche GT4. I'm training to do the Mercedes AMG GTR and the Porsche 911 GT3 RS and the GT3 standard. So I think it's over 10 brands or so. But it's really cool. It's an awesome job. I was just there not an hour ago, not even. And it's like an experience. So we don't call it a racing school. We have HPDEs as well, high performance driving experiences, if you want, for like higher stuff or higher, skills. But most of the time it's people who have never been on the track. Probably 70% have never been on track before, but we get anybody from Formula One to regular sports cars and people who are into bikes and all that kind of stuff. So you can rent any one of our cars for a fee, anywhere from like $200 to $600, and you get X amount of laps. You can buy as many laps as you want. I think up to 50 at a time, and or 50 per day. And so we have a 1.3 mile track. It's road racing, so lefts and rights and straightaways. It's a small amount of elevation. It's a lot of fun. Most of our cars are street legal. Technically, they're not plated or anything, but they could be. And we have about 4 race cars with the Ferrari Challenge Evos and the McLaren 570Ss, which are the full spec GT4 race cars. You can rent too, but those are a bit of a handful.
Cool. Right on, man. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I've had an opportunity to drive some sports cars on a road course or on a circuit. The Thermal Club.
Oh yeah.
In California, yeah. Knew somebody out there, and that was kind of right when they were building the place, and they didn't really care. The 16-year-old kid without a license went out there. Somehow they let me out there, but no, it was cool. It was cars are a lot different for sure, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. And,
I would say they're different but very similar, because when I coached in bikes and cars, I've coached for California Superbike School, Sport Bike Track Time, USMCA, on the track. And so whenever I say, somebody's like, "Oh, I ride bikes," I'm like, "Okay, well, when you have lean angle, small throttle." Same thing when you have a lot of steering angle, small throttle. Once you start unwinding, once you start coming up on the bike, you can start accelerating, right? It's the same kind of concept. You just got to adapt a little bit. You just have a couple extra tires in the car, and it's the same idea.
yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think someone had told me, like, with a steering wheel, imagine there's a string tied to the steering wheel and your foot or something.
string theory for
Yeah,
cars.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
The more angle you have, the higher your feet have to come, whether it's the throttle or the brake. As we unwind to straight, you can go to full throttle or for full brake smoothly, of course.
okay.
But yeah, so it's a cool gig. I'm happy I chose it, and I get to meet a lot of cool people. I've already coached over 2,000 students one-on-one in like less than 9 months. So you get to see all kinds of people every day.
Right on. Yeah, yeah, cars, going fast in cars, I was kind of surprised at how much faster it seems, but you're not going as fast as you're on a bike. But it's kind of just wild, I guess, just because you're in the cab and
Yep.
everything moving around and flexing and stuff. But it's a good time though, yeah.
Do you ever see yourself switching from bikes to cars at some point down the road?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more expensive gig, but I mean, if there was the opportunity to drive some more cars, and I definitely would. I think.
That's the biggest thing why people get into bikes first, right? I love cars, I love bikes, but I can't afford $100,000 car that can go 200 miles an hour. I can afford a $10,000 bike that can go 160 though,
Yeah,
and that's pretty good.
and then tires for the car. It's
Got four instead of two.
yeah, you think they're expensive for your super bike, but then you get that's a race car, and you got to buy tires for that thing and gas and all that stuff. I'm sure it's like just double everything pretty much.
Probably more than double.
Double,
'Cause I
yeah,
got a friend who's into IndyCar, and he's done NXT IndyCar lights basically, and the road to Indy, the one step below that. And you're talking like 1.5 million just to show up for the season. I mean, a superbike effort, I'm thinking like depends on how deep you want to get, but you could probably do it pretty well for 150,000 to 250, depending on the team you're in and how much you want to spend on development. Yeah, it's not cheap. You're talking if you're saying 250, it's like 6 times the cost.
yeah,
Um, so it's yeah, it's a lot of money. I say that bikes are more physically dangerous, cars are more financially dangerous.
yeah,
Which danger do you want?
yeah. No, I agree, 100%. Yeah.
So there's something weird with my Zoom going on right now. It's telling me I have a 40-minute limit, although I paid for the upgraded thing. So at 40 minutes, I think it's going to turn off. Do you want to do another half hour or so after that? But we got to just set it up again.
Yeah, we can do that if you want to. That's
Okay.
fine.
I try to go for at least an hour. We don't have to go
I
too
did
long
see
today.
something like a number ticking down here. Yeah, I
Yep.
was wondering what that was.
Yep. It's I don't know, maybe I logged into my wrong account, but either way, we'll get it going again.
Right
About
on.
2 minutes or so. So what kind of stuff are you into outside of racing? Most racers are all about racing, right? So what do you do in your spare time, if you have any?
Uh, man, I mean, yeah, I ride mountain bikes, rip. I mean, I'm doing a lot of riding still, but just I like listening to music, like albums, like of music and stuff, kind of like on my own sometimes, or just kind of working out. I do a lot of training, working out, and stuff like that, staying in shape.
Now for music, do you like to listen to a full album like a record or a CD, like the whole way through without skipping different songs, or do you like to jump around?
Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on what you want to do at the time. I mean, I'll listen from like if it's a new record, then I'll listen to it from the beginning, all the way through like that, like how you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I've heard it, I'll jump around to the songs I like or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I listen to anything, like everything, to all genres. I'm not like I'm like big into like hip hop and nothing else. Or I mean, I do country, hip hop, rock, and a lot of the grunge rock stuff is I'm big into. A lot of stuff like my dad listened to growing up that I heard as a kid. I'm into that pretty good. A lot of that stuff and just anything reggae. Um, but yeah,
Who would you say your top couple of bands would be?
uh, Alice in Chains. I mean, I kind of let's see. I like Pro Jam. Um, pretty good. I like Alice in Chains a lot, though. I think, and I mean, I like Creed a little bit, and then I like Stained. I think that might be a little bit newer. More
Dysfunction, right?
yeah, yeah. And then I mean, just and even like some of the like,
There it is. Sweet. Sorry about the delay.
no worries.
So I figured out why. I have two Zoom accounts and I used the wrong one. I I screwed up somehow and my server who hosted my website stopped hosting it and my website died completely. They migrated to a whole new platform and I lost my entire website.
Oh
So I
shit.
can't log into my email and my website's I think it's completely gone now. I don't think it exists anymore. So I got to recreate the whole thing.
Dang, man.
That's fun, but
Shit.
so now I get to make a new website at some point, and that's all right. That's how it goes sometimes. Gotta move on to the next thing, right?
That's right.
I feel like sometimes you have to let a few bad things happen to let the good big things happen,
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So
Make it
that's frustrating, but it is how it goes. So we were talking about music. Music's a big part of my life. I love music. Are you a big concert goer? Do you like to go to shows and stuff?
I've only been to a handful actually. Like concerts, yeah, I mean, it just depends. I've never really been to a concert of an artist that I'd like to go see. It's just kind of been I went along with some folks and
I gotcha.
yeah, I mean, I think I'd be down for, if some good music and some good if I had some good tickets to see some good a good band or something. So but I don't know, just I don't really get sit down and make the plans to do all of that. I just have someone else kind of come up with it.
Sure. I got to the point where I'd usually go to a couple concerts a year. Now you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on tickets to go to a fun concert. You could go to a local show. When I was in Michigan, I go to these shows, it'd be like $30.
Yeah.
It's just general admission, standing only, usually smaller venues, smaller bands, but you get some big bands coming in there every once in a while too and play some good shows. And I mean, I like to be touching the stage, like physically with my hand. You can be that close sometimes. And some of these venues, there's not even like security at the front. It's just you and then the stage, so it's really intimate. You can they'll usually throw guitar picks in the crowd and you're right there to pick them up, or you can get set lists from the band sometimes. You're that close. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I did look my top three, it's gotta be Alice in Chains and Audio Slave, and I like Rage Against the Machine also.
All right, that's good.
I mean,
Yeah,
I listen to everybody, like all the
sure.
bands. I mean, I appreciate like all of them, and they all a lot of different sounds and stuff in there. I mean, there's not really one I hate or whatever, but yeah. And
Yeah, I like that stuff.
my dad was a big Red Hot Chili Peppers guy.
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
Californication, right?
yeah.
So let's see. Do you have any animals at home?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I got a cat, kind of outdoor cat. He comes and goes, but um, yeah. I mean, not other than that, not really. We're me, my family, we move, travel around a lot. So, and as actually me and my sister share a place here at the lake, and she's always at school and working, and I'm usually racing and stuff. So, I
Yeah.
don't really have a whole lot of time for pets, and we'll be able to take care of them properly, give them the attention,
You'd
that
have
they
to
need.
hire someone to take care of your dog half the time.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like having a kid, pretty much. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, you got to be there and take care of it. And yeah, I think I would enjoy a dog or something. But just yeah, it takes a lot of time. You got to put a lot of time into it and take care of them properly. Give them attention. But
Yeah. Now,
um,
now you mentioned earlier about wakeboarding that you didn't want to do dangerous activities to stay, fit and healthy for racing. Now, is that in your contract or is that just something you do out of your own personal self-preservation?
I'm pretty that's not. I'm pretty sure it's not in the contract. But and Steve Scheibe wouldn't really like if I wanted to go and like race a bagger on the side or something, he probably would be fine with that. Like if I raced another class and stuff like. But yeah, just the wakeboarding thing, I don't have a lot of experience in, and that's just why I wouldn't do it. Like I rip the mountain bike, and I rip pretty good on a mountain bike, and I do that all the time. Like I mean, as long as I'm in able to find my comfort zone and not I know my limits in that pretty well. And the wakeboarding thing, I don't, even though I've lived on a lake most of my life, I don't really have haven't done it enough to really get it figured out, and don't want to eat shit or anything. So
It's just water, right? Yeah, but when you're going 40 miles an hour, it hurts.
yeah, I was surprised at first just how fast you really are going on the water, with a wakeboard, and it's pretty loose compared to, the surf. The wake surfboard, we got like a fin on the back. It kind of helps with the stability and stuff. But the wakeboard, at least the one I was on, it's pretty loose on that water, and you're just kind of skimming, and it's sensitive. So, but
All right. Yeah, some of them that are, I think, not designed for tricks don't have fins, so you can spin and not get catch. But if I think there are some that still have fins that are really just kind of more standard for just like
yeah,
kind of riding.
okay, right on.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I had some buddies kind of talk me into getting into it, and
it's fun.
yeah, I mean, I live on the lake. I feel like I should know how to do that stuff, but I enjoy messing with my stand-up skis and riding those things. So,
That was going to be my next question. Are you a skier? Do you do slalom or skiing?
um, yeah, just the jet skis. I mean, I don't do any other skiing like kneeboarding or anything like that, or
I got you.
um, unless we're messing around. I've tried it before, but we'll go tubing and stuff like that. It's a kind of a smaller lake. It's not very wide or anything, so just a long and narrow lake that branches out and stuff. So
All right. Yeah,
yeah,
so I wanted you to talk about some of your sponsors for a moment. I know you got a whole bunch of them. I'm sure you have a whole list somewhere, but you've been wearing the HJC helmets, right?
yeah, that's right.
And how do you
Yeah,
like those?
no, HJC's been a big part of. I mean, they've helped me out for a while. I mean, from the beginning, 2015, the KTM Cup, RC Cup, my first year pro, and they were a sponsor of my dad's too. That's kind of how I got into it. And yeah, I've been wearing them my whole career so far, whatever. And same thing with the Speedy leathers from the beginning. I started out with them in 2015. Met the Speedy guy, the Indianapolis GP MotoGP round, actually 2013 or 12, and sent me my first suit of
I was
those.
there too.
Oh, really? Right
Yeah.
on.
I was selling Alpine Stars boots out of their garages that year, 13 to 14, I believe.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there. And yeah, that's kind of how that started. I'm still with them too, and they've done a lot for me, and I love their stuff, and they've done their job, protected me and stuff. It's good quality stuff, and good people too. So
Now, do you feel like you're on the ideal motorcycle you want to be on? I mean, there's a lot of fast people on BMWs now, and that seems like to be a good platform.
yeah, I mean, it's the bike I'm on currently is the 2008. It's the older S1000.
Hmm.
These guys like Bobier, all those guys, well, even like Corey Alexander wasn't even on the that I believe wasn't even on the bike that Bobier and PJ had been on this year. He was on last year's or something. So, but yeah, mine's a bit older, and it's still a good bike. It's the best thing I've ridden. I haven't been on anything else. It's the only super bike I've ridden. So I'm pretty. It's a great bike, and um, pretty happy with it. But we're real close, and sometimes some points just like a second off of where what would be up there at the front and up there in that mix with those guys. So we are looking for that little extra, and obviously, yeah, I'd like to be on eventually try something else out, or like a factory bike one day or something. I think everybody's dream is to kind of try one out. So
Heck yeah. And so, what do you think is missing that you need to get to the next little step for the next couple positions?
um, uh, well, I mean, as for me as a rider, I mean, this year I kind of had we were struggling in corner entry stuff and losing time. I could see on the data and stuff, and for a while we couldn't really figure out what it was, and I kind of was just kind of questioning myself and like my riding and stuff. And I mean, I can ride the shit out of anything, like anything else I've ridden, but the super bike, I just hadn't got to that next level yet, you know, where the front guys are. And we weren't far off, but and then we made a change with the bike at Pittsburgh, and we found at least a second.
That's
Like,
significant.
yeah, and the corner entry speed was fixed, and we could even go even more, but we haven't got to test that yet. But just yeah, like it made a big change in my confidence braking. I was able to brake like harder and just had confidence in the bike on the entry. Before it was just too steep in the front. And what we did was,
Changing
yeah,
geometry and engine braking mappings.
the geometry. Yeah, we raked it out in the front actually, and I'm a bigger guy, so I mean it makes sense. So we just had never tried it, and yeah, and I was real comfortable with it and ripping, and we had a strong last few dry races. And as far as, and then after that, you know, and I mean I feel pretty good, like, and I'm ready to go to that next step, like as a rider, you know. And but the bike is not far off either, you know. We got a good package, but honestly, I think if we did have that package that, I don't know, like Bovier and those guys have, I mean, it would be interesting to see, and I think I might would have something for them. But you know, it's those teams got a lot of money, and you know, can the funds and the support, and they're great riders too. So you know, they're on great bikes and stuff. So yeah, maybe one day, but yeah, I mean, I think me too. I'm working on, still working on my riding a little. I'm learning something every time I go out. Still, man. Like
Oh yeah.
every year, learning more and more, and riding with these guys on track and stuff, and getting to like in practice and qualifying, doing laps behind like Bobby, and being able to hang with them for two sectors, and then they just kind of start inching away. It's still, you know, it's kind of neat, and it's nice to like every other time getting back out there with them, being able to hang out with them or hang on to them a little bit longer and stuff. It's encouraging, and that's kind of how this year's been. So it's just been getting better and better, I feel like.
Isn't it interesting how like one small, tiny 1 or 2 millimeter change on a front end geometry changes the whole feeling of the bike?
It is, yeah. And I mean, I thought I knew a good bit about it, and but that's something that we've never played with on the stock bikes. You're not allowed to do all that. We've never really done much testing on the super bike either, just a test before the season, because it's, you know, we're kind of a smaller privateer super bike team, not really trying to spend a lot of money doing that stuff. Um but it's crazy. I was the fastest super bike through sector 2 at Pittsburgh. I mean, not super bike, I'm sorry, BMW. Yeah, and we were like, wow, I mean, the thing must be really working well. I was like, yeah, man. And yeah, I was pumped. And it sucks we ran out of rounds at the end of the year, but you know, we'll see what we can do next year, see what happens.
You ever think of jumping to like Australian Superbike Cup like Travis did?
Australian. Uh
Or
I
any
mean,
other championship, I mean South African or like Canadian or like
I wouldn't mind trying or like doing a wild card if, yeah, if that's what you mean. Yeah,
yeah.
like or like British Superbike. Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. I know BSB is pretty difficult. The tracks are different, and they're pretty competitive out there. But I mean, if you're a great rider and get on a great, I mean, a good bike, you know, I'm sure you could be up there in the mix. And guys have done it before. So, but yeah, I'd like to go travel around and try some different race, different series and different tracks for sure.
This takes money, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and if the opportunity came around, then I think I'd take it for sure.
So I assume, I mean, you're on a team, but you have people around you who are doing marketing or looking for sponsorships for you. What does that look like in your program?
Um, what do you mean?
Like gaining sponsors, is that the team's responsibility? Is that your responsibility? Who's finding partners in this
Yeah, our Steve Scheibe, our team owner, he kind of handles all that for Scheibe racing. And I mean, as for me, it's kind of I do my own stuff, handle my own stuff. My dad kind of has acted as a little bit of a manager for me somewhat, but it's mainly me. And yeah, we don't. Uh, yeah, I just kind of handle my own stuff mainly. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Because I'm in the whole sponsorship hunt, for next year, like everybody else is at this time as well. So just
Yeah.
trying to pick everybody's brain and get some ideas. There are some, I don't know, not sure what you call them, like agents. Is that the right word? Or managers? Yeah, maybe closer to who would manage athletes and find sponsorship for them, but those usually aren't very cheap to find, and it's never a guarantee that they'll get anything. And usually they want a huge retainer, right? So I've looked into coach sponsorship coaches, and there's a couple of them out there that look pretty darn good. There's a guy I know personally who went with this one coach, and it's not cheap. It's like a couple $1,000 for like a 3-month program of coaching. That's all remote, but he said he got a $10,000 deal out of it after spending 3. So that's still a positive, but it's like, man, that seems like a lot of money. What's your
Yeah.
thought on all that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've been comfortable doing my own thing, but I do know, I mean, if I had a manager, someone that had connections, they could, and while you're focused on racing, they could be reaching out to sponsors and people for you and for like the next season and stuff. But even Josh, I think Josh did a podcast recently. I watched, and he was kind of talking about that stuff and how he kind of had like an agent or whatever, and it didn't really work out as he as planned, and he just started doing his own thing, and then ended up with that OnlyFans sponsorship, and just kind of been doing his own stuff now. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's just a lot of you got to put a lot of time into it, and I think he enjoys that stuff, and I'm learning more about the reaching out and getting better at the sponsorship stuff too. I'm not I've never really been as social like with people at the track, racing on the weekend. I kind of like to focus on my thing and not really go around and say hey to everybody at every truck and all that stuff. But I'm getting better at that and meeting more folks and stuff. But yeah, I kind of just prefer to do my own thing for now, at least, and see what happens in the future, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you can manage it, I think it's probably better for the long term. You don't have to pay somebody else, and you know what you're doing. You make those relationship personally with that other company or entity or person, and you build your skills. I think it's such a skill building exercise to go out to a company and say, "Look, I want to represent you," and they're like, "Who the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, most of the sponsors I have now just kind of found myself and made relationships with, and yeah, I think that's pretty important. Um, and yeah, we'll see in the future. I mean, if you can find a manager, somebody that has those connections, I'm sure. But I feel like I wouldn't be comfortable unless it was someone I'm close with or good friends with or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the hardest part for most people, once they're already good at racing, is just finding the money to do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's been my biggest hurdle. And so I'm just dedicated like everybody else. I hope to be out there banging bars with you one day, and we can go from there,
Yeah, it's expensive sport, that's for sure, and kind of cutthroat too. It wasn't back like it was back in the day.
The
When
Marlboro days.
yeah, and all the factory teams and stuff, it's changed a lot, and a lot of all the rides and stuff. But hopefully, it's getting a little better here. I think it's kind of getting better a little bit. At least seems like Moto America's kind of stepped it up a little bit. So
Yeah, we've had a history of what, 8 years now of Moto America, which is pretty good. And I think they've really taken it in a good direction from DMG. Kind of drove it in the ground, like everybody knows, but no, it's still sanctioned by AMA, but it's not AMA, right? It's Moto America. So um, do you think they should do anything differently? What criticisms or positives do you have for Moto America? What are they doing good? What are they doing bad?
I mean, I think they're doing a pretty good job, honestly. I mean, I've heard a lot of opinions and talked about it a little bit, like just with my dad and stuff. I can't really think of it off the top of my head, some of the things, but I mean, overall, seems like it's doing pretty well and just slowly kind of getting back, slowly growing again. So it's kind of hard to say. I mean, back in the day, I wasn't old enough to really realize what was going on, and how I do remember, how AMA Superbike was and how it was back then, but um, can't remember a whole lot and stuff. But yeah, so far, Moto America seems like they're doing pretty well. And it's getting better, and that's all I gotta say about that, I
Sure.
guess.
So
Yeah.
different question about the series, but what would you think if there was a spec class, like completely spec, all the same bike, can't modify anything, just like kind of like the Junior Cup was or the KTM 390 Cup was? What if there was a spec superbike class? Everybody's on the same bike.
Yeah, I mean, I would be fine with that, I think. Yeah.
It really even the playing field, right? Because there's some people who are just never going to win because they have a 10-year-old motorcycle. Well, probably not that old, but older, aging out, not this year's newest model. It's like they have a hard time. It's like they're starting on the back foot. They don't have a $250,000 budget. They just barely made it to the event with one bike. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that is would be interesting. I don't know if it would really work just with, right now you have the Yamaha effort and Suzuki and stuff. If there was like a spec bike or something, I'm not sure if there would be much of a super bike class, because I mean, I think super bike class is the premier class, and that's where all the manufacturers come together and compete. And so I don't know if that'll work, but I think it would be interesting if they did some type of thing like with PSB runs the Motec or whatever, a limited electronics thing, everyone has to run, and I wouldn't mind that, sliding around, no TC or whatever it is that they do,
yeah.
because I did that on the Stock 1000 until last year on the Superbike. I kind of had to use the electronics and stuff, but yeah, that's interesting, for sure. And I think the KTMRC Cup was a awesome class when they had that. Honestly, I think that was a really good idea for that spec class. But
Yeah, it does limit the manufacturer involvement, which is a problem, right? Like you have the BOP that balance the performance, but it's never perfect because you got these Ducatis with a crazy engine, and then you got, the Yamahas, which are good cornering, or all the different benefits of each bike is different. So it's never going to be equal. It'll be similar, but different. Each bike makes its own power or the lap time in a different way.
yeah, yeah, it's tough, and with the factory guys out there and stuff, and for us privateer guys, you got your Bobiers and your Petrucci's on these factory bikes, and then you're on your privateer bike and trying to stay with it's tough, but all you can do is the best, is go out there and do your best and show your talent and get recognized. And
Yeah. So you thought the KTM 390, the RC 390 Cup was really beneficial to your riding development?
yeah, yeah, it was. I just think overall it was a neat class, because everyone was on the spec bike, and the competition was close, and you know you win in the KTM Cup, then you look like you're the best guy out there, racing everybody else on the same bikes and stuff. And yeah, it was neat. And also KTM seemed to be pretty involved in it. And at the end of the year, the top three in the championship got to go overseas and do the World KTM RC Cup final race. I was in Holland. I got to do that at Assen.
Hmm.
I finished third in the championship in 2016, and I went with Brandon Posh and Anthony Mazziato, and that was an awesome experience. I was the only American to lead one of the races or the whole weekend, but then I ended up crashing out, unfortunately, second race. But Brandon and Anthony ended up on the podium in one race. And but no, it was KTM RC Cup was pretty cool deal for sure.
What was it like going to the Cathedral of Speed?
Yeah, it was super flat, but it
Yeah.
was a fun layout. And I
Fast and
played it a
flowing.
lot. Yeah, on the MotoGP games, I played it a good bit before we went over there. And yeah, just flat, flowy, very fast. The last section's pretty wild, just how fast everything was. On the KTM, it wasn't, it was pretty slow on a KTM, and I hadn't been on a big bike yet, but I guess it seemed fast. But you're like wide open through all that on the KTM, and the chicane was fun. I was actually like backing it into that little chicane and then flicking it, and that was a good bit of fun. But yeah, it luckily didn't even rain. I think that weekend it usually rains, and it didn't rain, so we got some good dry time in and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's an amazing place to ride, I could imagine.
Yeah, I've been to Jerez. Those are the only two tracks in Europe I've been to, and Jerez was also a pretty amazing track. A lot smaller in person than
Pretty
I was.
tight
Yeah,
layout.
it was like I rode a Honda 650 there, European Junior Cup, and it was just surprising how tight it was. It was tight on that thing. I can't believe they ride MotoGP bikes around there.
So how does the European racing compare to the American racing? Are they more aggressive? Is it just different? Are they taking different lines? I mean, doing the same thing, but just different area, right?
It's just more of them, honestly. There's just more. There's a lot
Involvement, more riders.
fast. Yeah, it's just more fast guys, and I mean they're not like that much better or anything. We got fast guys over here. I guess just less of them.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean obviously the European guys coming over here and can't. Well, I mean I guess Petrucci did pretty well, but still wasn't able to like clinch the championship. On his factory Ducati and stuff. So we're Americans, we're pretty fast over here. I know tracks are pretty difficult and stuff, but we're fast guys too. So there's just more of them over there.
I like it when Europeans come to America and struggle. That's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, no, and yeah, it was definitely last year watching, well, even while racing Superbike class, just to see Gagne or just Petrucci kind of. I mean, halfway through the season, you kind of tell like he's like, man, like, what are they expecting? This and like couldn't even really hang with Gagne at some of the races and stuff. So we definitely, got some fast guys over here, and
Do
people
you
just.
see do you see Gagne returning to defend his title again, or do you see him going somewhere else overseas again?
Um, I don't. I feel like he would probably stay. I don't see why he'd go unless there was some sort of big opportunity for him that was worth it over there. I'm sure he's getting paid and pretty good, and pretty happy with his team, and
Yeah,
no reason for him to really go anywhere, honestly.
let's
And
keep going.
yeah, I mean, yeah, just I mean, many guys did it before him. Bobier, I mean, Bobier eventually went, I guess, but it's kind of on a good bike, good team and stuff. Why go?
I was kind of surprised by Bobia this year. I thought he would kind of sweep the field. He didn't do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I mean the BMWs had just been coming around. He did win like the first race, I think, but he won a few races and he was real strong, but he had a lot of bad luck. And actually, I got tangled up with him in one of the rounds. My throttle, I had a throttle fault thing, an electronic issue coming out of the chicane in Pittsburgh, and he was behind me. He ran into me
Mm.
and flicked him off, and that was his last race actually, and that's why he stopped because that had been his third big crash in 3 weekends, and hit his head twice in 2 weeks or something pretty good. So I think he just, decided to sit it out and get things together for next year. And I think they were looking pretty strong, but the Yamaha team's got a lot of experience and testing, and got it all dialed in. And the BMW's pretty fresh, but just shown that it's got what it takes. They're just kind of still figuring it out, I think. So
Sure. And you see, BMW is doing well, and Nolan Lampkin winning the Superbike Cup. That's great.
yeah, I did see that. Shout out to him for that. That was cool to see. He was riding pretty well at Jersey in the rain and stuff, I noticed. And yeah, it seemed like they got that thing working pretty good for him.
Now let's talk about domination with Xavi Flores, right?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't get a chance to properly meet him, but I wanted to. But yeah, he definitely a great rider, and I think pretty sure he's World Superbike World Superbike rider.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on a Superbike next year.
Yeah, he's world endurance rider too. So I think that has a huge effect. You're riding hours and hours and hours and hours in these long ass races all around the world with the best in the world of endurance racing. I think that's a huge factor to why he's so fast.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, more laps. Practice makes perfect, or perfect practice makes perfect, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I've done a lot of laps myself, and it's definitely the truth.
So it's funny you say that because usually when I'm done coaching my student, we're debriefing, exiting the track. I say a few things to them like, did you have fun? Did you like the car? How's my coaching? Do you have any questions? How can I help you go faster? And they're usually like, oh yeah, I just need to do it more. I'm like, well, yeah, but you got to do it the right way more, not practice bad habits, right? So usually like, oh, I just need to do it more. Well, it's kind of, yeah, that's part of it, but there's also another aspect to it. You gotta practice the perfect way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be instilling all these bad habits. And then you got to unlearn all these bad habits before you relearn the good ones, right?
Yeah, with coaching guys in supermoto and stuff, um, they all see my videos and me riding and sliding and backing it in on my knee, and they're like, "Man, I want to do that. That's why I'm here." I'm like, "Well, I mean, you got to get to that point. You can't just get out there and do it." And a lot of the time, it's just because guys aren't really going fast enough. They're not up to pace, and I can't do all the sliding and stuff without going that speed. Just the momentum and just everything works together, kind of. And but yeah, I try I try not to confuse them too much, but to practice the proper techniques and stuff, and then
Yeah.
ride with them and let them follow me if I follow them and all that stuff, and get them up to speed. But
Yeah, that reminds me, I was coaching somebody in Michigan and for sport bikes at Grattan Raceway, and they said the same thing. They're like, I want to back it in. I'm like, this is your first novice day at the racetrack. Don't even think about backing it in. You don't need that. I don't even really back it in that often. It's not really something I use that often. I've been going to the track for a long time. It's like you should focus on other things.
yeah, it's the thing. I mean, I've been doing this my whole life pretty much, and it comes around, you'll figure it out, and it just happens. Like I go out there and it just comes natural. So it's because I've been doing it so long and stuff. So
Yeah.
you just jump right into something like that, backing it in, get hurt.
Yeah, you can get spit off that bike pretty good, and you'll get a lot of hang time before you hit the ground.
Yeah, same like with like if I were to go out on a motocross track, try to whip, I mean,
Right.
I'm not a big motocross guy, and yeah, if I were to go out there and try to whip it as hard as I can, I'm gonna freaking hurt myself because I'm not familiar with it.
You're gonna learn today.
Yeah, actually, I tried to do that when I was younger, broke my collarbone, so I
Ah,
actually learned from that one.
sure. I
Yeah,
like staying on the ground more than being in the air.
yeah, I agree.
So, anything else in your mind? We got a couple minutes here. We'll wrap it up.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, guess now we've been kind of talking about a lot of things. Unless you got anything else for me.
Yeah, just I know you're not sure yet what your plans are for next year, but what would you like to happen?
Well, I mean, I would like to stay in superbike class. I feel that's where I belong. I'm a, bigger guy, and I prefer the superbike and stuff. And I feel like I have some unfinished business too, and would like to keep progressing and be up there with those guys. And but yeah, but I would like it to be, a ride, a decent ride, and be able to make some money too, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, that's to be in the superbike class again would be uh, what I'd like to do.
Sure. Um, well, where can people find you online? Do you have any social media out there or websites?
Yeah, Instagram at Ashton_Yates, and then Facebook Ashton Yates 22, and that's about it. I don't really I haven't. I'm gonna start doing some YouTube stuff, hopefully this off season. But yeah, I mainly do my Instagram and Facebook stuff.
All right.
To
And any OnlyFans yet?
no, uh, no, not for me.
All
um,
right. Very good. Well, thanks for talking to me for about an hour and 20 minutes, I think it was. So I'll get this video edited and posted in the next couple of weeks. I still got one or two to post before I get to yours. And the next one I think that will be coming out will be Chase Black. His will be coming out shortly here.
all
So
right, right.
this should be episode 137. But I also recorded 2 episodes that people didn't want to publish. So I got 2 gaps in there I'm going to fill in somehow.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Well, thanks for talking to me, man. Have a great night, and I'll see you at the racetrack.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye bye.